I learned that in order to resist the sorrows of human experience, we needed another world. Unfortunately, our culture kept calling that world an escape, making it a most unvirtuous thing to do to escape from the present. To escape from everything was really not taking part and not being involved in life. I don't understand how it happened, but it was part of our ideology, and that was a great taboo on anybody who was able to move away from catastrophe. It wasn't realized that the moving away from catastrophe or trauma or ugliness or whatever monsters we encountered was necessary as an antitoxin. We need antitoxins. We need a place in which to recover our vision. We need a place in which to reconstruct ourselves after shattering experiences. I discovered that very early my magic was simply the power to move away from paralyzing and destructive experience. I always had a book because that was the place where I really wanted to be. I learned to move, and the first process of growth is this movement away and towards something. So, this brings me to a whole set of magic words that I would like you to write down and to keep forever as formulas. The magic words are all in the dictionary under the prefix trans, which means change or movement, transforming, transposing, transcending, translucent, transfiguring, transmitting. These are words that lead us out of the present, away from the painful, paralyzed spot in our life. It is from artists that I learned to transmute. It was from musicians that I learned that in the midst of sorrows and wars and dissidence, divorce and separation, music could carry you and sustain you and nourish you. There is also the power of storytelling and the whole magic of storytelling, which sustains your life so that you never succumb to the terrible despair of someone you cannot see beyond today's happenings. The magic of storytelling lies in the enjoyment of a flight of language that takes you into another realm. We enter the realm of poetry or art and discover the pleasure of possessing the skill to fly, because I say the poet teaches us levitation, to fly a little and transcend the things that usually drag us down into the completely pedestrian, completely entrapped life of every day, or life completely trapped in history. If you're negative, you're going to find causes for negativity. You'll build yourself a case because we're very clever. We build cases for our own moods. If you're convinced you can't make it and you want to drop out, you're going to find reasons for it. You can always build a case. There are all kinds of things lying around. But if you want to build a case for life worth living, then you build that too. We have two distinct needs. One is a human need to be intimate with experience, to be very close to experience, to be as directly related to events as possible. And we think we satisfy that need through the media. I think this is an illusion. But there are people who do write letters and documents and the kind of journalism that gives that illusion of participation. And then there's a second need in human nature, which is to create something that has more permanence, which is the myth of our lives, the symbolic, spiritual significance of our lives. And we can only do with a word that I know you don't like to use, but which is art, which is literature. I chose this extract from A Woman Speaks by Anais Nin to illustrate the point that art is a way out of fear and a way into wonder. Art can be simple and humble and a craft, but it's never just a posture. And I think that that's what's happened to modern art, postmodern art, where it's simply the expression of a concept. It's like fiat currency. I declare it and then so it is. I think that art must say something that is intended to live through time and that is connected to a feeling. He stared into the streets and thought bitterly, but also with a chilling, stunned sobriety, that though he'd been seeing them so long, perhaps he'd never known them at all. The occurrence of an event is not the same thing as knowing what it is one has lived through. Most people had not lived. nor could it for that matter be said that they had died through any of their terrible events. They had simply been stunned by the hammer. They passed their lives thereafter in a kind of limbo of denied and unexamined pain. The great question that faced him that morning was whether or not he had ever been really present at his life. For if he had ever been present, then he was present still, and his world would open up to him. It's the easiest thing in the world to climb down from the parapet and get back into the old position where everyone is so comfortable seeing you. I don't want to suggest by this that I'm being oppressed. No one tells me what to do. I'm my own police officer. I enforce the age-old belief that simply being myself is not authorized, except in my free time. I've become very skilled at not being myself. I've built a whole other replica out of what I have imagined are other people's expectations. First of all, I didn't study art because that seemed too wildly impractical, so I studied history of art. That part of me in the spectator's role of my own passion. Critical analysis and history are less likely to lead you down the path into madness, except that I ended up there anyway. I always felt that I wrote for no one. No one would ever want to read what came out of me, and ultimately the choice was always between authentic self-expression and solitude, and a decentering of myself that I could feel the warmth of others around me. I don't feel that that's so true anymore. The world has changed, not just me. There is a place for each one of us, but it's important to focus the energy on the heart. The energy signature of people is red with the heart.